Hello and a very warm welcome. Dr. Abhishek here, and today I'm going to talk to you about something that is crucially important to your preparation. In this video, we are going to talk about PYQs or the previous year questions. So previous year questions, they form a very important part and almost an inescapable part of your preparation. As a teacher, whenever I talk to my student, तो मैं उनको ये जरूर बोलता हूं कि जब भी आप सिलेबस के ऊपर देखो, never look at the syllabus in isolation. Look at the syllabus and look at the previously asked question. And together they will give you the complete understanding of what could be asked to you in the actual examination. The good thing is that today most of the candidates, including you, are aware of the importance of the previous year question. So that's a very good and very healthy trend. So why a video on this? The video on this is basically to fill a gap. I notice as a teacher कि कई student ये बहुत clear नहीं होते कि PYQ का importance क्या है. Why the PYQ is important and how to approach the PYQ to the best of your benefits. So in this video, these are the things I am going to talk about कि PYQ को लेकर के एक general belief क्या है और PYQ को लेके इतना hype क्यों है, उस हाइप की रियलिटी क्या है. सो हाइप वर्सेस रियलिटी हम लोग देखेंगे एंड फाइनली वी आर गोइंग टू सी दैट व्हेन वी आर अप्रोचिंग द PYQ, व्हाट इज द राइट वे टू अप्रोच एंड हाउ वी कैन मैक्सिमाइज आवर रिजल्ट्स for the time, energy that we invest in the previous year question. So a quick look onto hype, reality and how to go about it to maximize our benefits. Here we start. So first and foremost, I'm going to talk about what's the big deal about the PYQ. Why today PYQ is such a rage. Why today most of the candidates, most of the selected candidates, toppers will tell you to do PYQ. Uska reason kya hai? And why most of the candidates are interested in the PYQ. Give me a moment. Right. So first reason is that, and as you can see, that the PYQs are seen as a repository of all the questions that could be asked to you in the examination. एक general belief है कि अगर हम PYQ अच्छे से कर लेते हैं तो जितने क्वेश्चन एग्जाम में, खासतौर पे मेन एग्जाम में हमसे पूछे जा सकते हैं, all the questions are going to come from the PYQ. These are the thoughts, these are the beliefs, and I am going to talk about the reality of this also. But the general belief is that, especially those who are newcomers in this field, they generally tend to think based on whatever they have been advised, because whenever the advice comes from the toppers or from the seniors or from the teachers like me, most of the time the advice is one sentence. देखो सिर्फ syllabus नहीं देखना है, PYQ भी देखनी है. But nobody tells you how to approach the PYQ. So एक हमारा जो picture बनता है वो यही बनता है कि it is repository of all the questions that could be asked to you. Next is that it is also seen as an important predictor of the questions that could be asked to you in the prelim. ये तो हमें पता है कि prelim में questions बहुत कम repeat होते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी हम ऐसा मान के चलते हैं कि if we are looking at the PYQs very closely, if we are solving the PYQs, then there is a very good likelihood that in the prelim we will be able to kind of expect the questions. In the prelim we are going to face the questions which are by and large on the same pattern as PYQ. तो हमें ये पता होते हुए भी कि prelim में questions repeat नहीं होते, फिर भी हम ऐसा सोच के चलते हैं कि prelim में कम से कम इसी pattern के question आएंगे, तो इस तरह से prelim में हमारे लिए PYQ important लगता है. Then the next thing is that it is seen as the source, right? When I use the word the source, so obviously इसका मतलब है कि it is seen as the only source of the question that could be asked to you in the main examination. We are going to see its truth. Is it the source or we have to take it with a pinch of salt? Okay, just stay with me. And finally, we often unknowingly give it more weightage than the syllabus itself. So a lot of students, they do PYQ at the expense of covering the entire syllabus. Sometimes समय की कमी होती है, इस वजह से क्या होता है कि अगर हम पूरे सिलेबस को नहीं भी कर पा रहे हैं, so we try to do just the PYQ. So these are the things which hype up the PYQ, and PYQ look like a big deal. Okay. Now a quick reality check. So now the reality, one after one, the same propositions जो पिछले पेज पे थे, अब हम उनकी reality की बात करते हैं, ठीक है ना? So the first thing is it repository of all the questions that can be asked to you? Answer is no. It is repository of several questions, but not all. Even if you are doing the civil service main PYQ, and even if you go back to the horizon of 10 years, okay, 10 साल की PYQ आप कर जाओ, आप देखोगे कि जो रिपीट क्वेश्चंस होते हैं पिछले 10 साल के स्टॉक से, अगर आप क्वेश्चन के एग्जैक्ट रिपीट की बात करोगे तो इट विल बी अप्रोक्सीमेटली 60%, even in static subjects. By static subjects I would mean the science subjects where every day something new is not getting added. There are a lot of humanities subjects where paper 2 is extremely dynamic. We can take public administration as example, sociology as example, political science as example, where paper 2 is quite dynamic. So, for that matter, even geography. But when you look at the subjects which are static, for example, botany, zoology, for that matter, much of anthropology, I would not say all of anthropology, but much of anthropology, much of psychology, if not all. So these subjects where the syllabus is largely static in nature, even in those subjects, even if you have solved the last 10 years questions, you will be realizing that the last 10 years questions are giving you a coverage of not more than 60% in their exact repeat, not more than that. So 60% out of all the questions, so that leaves a gap of still 40% of the questions, and this 60% is maximum. There are years when the PYQ of 10 years will give you a coverage of about 50% questions. So anyone who tells you that do 10 years PYQ and all the questions are going to come from there, please do not go by such generalizations. I would highly recommend that you yourself do this analysis, pick up any particular year's main examination question paper, compile the last 10 years question paper and ask yourself what percentage of questions I can find in the collection of last 10 years question paper, and you are going to realize that the percentage is between 50 and 60 if you are talking about the exact repeat. So the PYQs account for some, several, but not all. First thing, okay? So this was the first reality check. The next point, it is an important predictor of questions in the prelim. This is perhaps one myth about the PYQ which is farthest from truth. There are many videos on YouTube, and I am taking a risk of disagreeing humbly, disagreeing respectfully from those videos जो ये कहते हैं कि अगर आप पिछले साल के क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करते हो, so it is a very important predictor of what kind of questions you are going to see in your upcoming prelim. That unfortunately is not true. This I am saying on the basis of analysis of last 10 years prelim question paper. Whenever I go back to last 10 years, I notice that not more than 20% of the questions, they repeat themselves in the prelim, not more than 20% question. And even the 20% questions which repeat themselves, you will be surprised that they never repeat themselves verbatim. The framing of the question will be different. The options of the question will be different. It will be similar it will appear familiar. That way it will become easier to solve. But exact repeat, I'm sorry, no. Prelim is the stage of the examination which springs up maximum amount of surprises, and we have to be mentally prepared for that. Prelim is one stage where you need to be holistically prepared, and here PYQ will add a layer of practice, and practice with those questions which the UPSC has already asked. So if PYQ is predictor of anything in the prelim, and mind these words, PYQ is the predictor of difficulty level. It is not the predictor of framing of question. It is not a predictor of the next set of questions. But yes, PYQ is a very strong predictor of how the prelim questions are going to be in terms of their difficulty. Most of the test series, you will notice some of them are very easy and some of them are impossibly difficult in comparison to the actual UPSC prelim examination paper. So when you solve PYQ for the prelim examination, what you are going to notice that prelim examination PYQ will give you most realistic level of understanding how difficult or how easy the questions are going to be. So here that should be your expectation, and not that it is going to be a predictor of the questions. Then the next myth is about it is the source of questions, the source in capital letter. So ये कर लो, मेंस के सारे क्वेश्चन हो जाएंगे. And I come across so many students. Now the main examination of 2022 is pretty much around the corner, and I have been talking to students, and so many of them say that, sir, I'm doing PYQ, and I always say, no, it is not enough to solve only the PYQ and expect that you will be doing well in the main examination. This has not been the only source which will be giving you the question. It can account for close to 50 or 60% of the question, but rest of it you will have to do. Okay? So that is the reality there. And then I think, yes. So then a lot of people give it more weightage than the syllabus. Please do not do that. Syllabus is your first document. Syllabus has to be touched in entirety, barring certain dead topics. So in every syllabus there are certain dead topics. Topics from where in the last even 20 years not a single question has been asked. Those questions can genuinely be treated as dead topics. You can perhaps ignore those topics, but all the remaining topics should at least be touched by you. When I say should at least be touched by you, that means that at least 15 points you ought to have on even those topics which you are planning to leave, so that if totally unexpectedly a question comes, you are at least ready with your 12 to 15 points that will allow you to write even a 20 marker short note on that. So do not ignore the syllabus at all. Every single topic of the syllabus should at least be read by you, and in your personal self-made notes you must be having 15 odd points on those topics. So I hope you understand this point also with clarity, right? So that is basically the myth versus reality picture. And now we come to the real importance of PYQ according to me. We have understood very well that what is the commonly held belief about the PYQ and what according to me is the reality. And I would say you can always check it by going through the PYQs, going through the exactly last year's question paper, and you will yourself tend to agree with my generalizations, because these generalizations are coming only after rigorous analysis of the past questions, and then I'm speaking to you with certain sense of responsibility. Now, what is the importance of PYQ if we are out of the myth versus reality? PYQ still is one of the most ingredient of your preparation. Let me write it down so that there is no confusion around it, that it is one of the most important ingredient of your preparation. Okay. So what does it tell us? Do not ignore this. Without this, your preparation is going to be absolutely incomplete. Now, let us see what all I have to share with you. First and foremost, this is the source that will delineate the main examination syllabus, that will draw the boundaries of the main examination syllabus, that will help you understand the scope of the main examination syllabus. This delineation is extremely important as the very first thing in your preparation. Before you start the coverage from the books, from the notes, you might be attending coaching class, whatever, drawing the boundaries and understanding the farthest scope of the syllabus is needed, because in the UPSC, as important as it is to do certain important thing, it is equally important not to do what you do not need. And where do you get the insight into what not to do? Only with analysis of PYQ, and from the PYQ you should be able to understand the why part of it. PYQ सिर्फ ये देखने के लिए मत करो कि what is there in the PYQ. It will be very narrow vision, very narrow. Okay? कि हम PYQ में देख लेते कि अच्छा इस टॉपिक से ये क्वेश्चन आए हैं and immediately we jump to the conclusion कि अच्छा ये आया है तो यही आएगा. No. आप ये सोचो अगर ये आया है और अगर इस तरह के क्वेश्चन पूछे जा सकते हैं तो इस तरह के भी क्वेश्चन पूछे जा सकते हैं. And because you have started moving from what to why, what is what has been asked. Why will give you an insight why it has been asked. And the moment you start understanding why behind a question, you will be able to see the forthcoming question. And if you are unable to do it on your own, you may be just starting out the preparation, this subject might be totally new for you, and all of these things, do not hesitate in taking help of a teacher, number one. Number two, do not delay taking help of a teacher, because every lost day has an opportunity cost. So don't do that. If you can yourself understand the why part of a question, and then you can predict what else could be asked to me, it's great. You are already starting on a great platform. If you are unable to do it on your own, take help. Take help wherever needed, without hesitation, without delay. This is one of the most important thing to realize. It is not about pampering your ego that no, whatever I'll do on my own, and then in the process you waste 3 years experimenting. We cannot be master of everything. There are people who have spent at least their 1/4 of life spending their time, energy on analyzing the subject. They can do it better than you, and you should take their help if you are thinking that I'm alone, not competent. But when you are looking at the PYQ, always look from the angle of why also. What is something that is visible to everyone? Why is something that is visible to the wise eyes? And with this wisdom, you will be able to predict point number one. So it delineates the syllabus of the main examination, and that is very important. Second is that a lot of newcomers do not understand what kind of question could be asked to them. So if you are a newcomer, PYQs will give you a sense of question that could be framed on the topic. And when you see the questions being framed on a topic, your studies will get a direction. That is very important. Number three, it will challenge you to reframe your own understanding in alignment with the question. जैसे आपने एक क्वेश्चन देखा, ऑलरेडी आपने वो चैप्टर पढ़ रखा है, लेकिन जब आप क्वेश्चन देखते हो ना, then you realize that I have to re-look at my understanding. I have to rearrange my understanding to frame an answer. That challenge is a must for any candidate who's wishing to score well in the main examination. So it will give you a challenge and it will train your thought process. So these challenges, they go a long way training your thought process. So ये जो दोनों चीजें हैं ना, they train your thought process. So you start maturing as a candidate. As a candidate, जो आपकी insight होनी चाहिए, वो insight अब बनने लग जाती है, ठीक है? There are other roles also of PYQs, that of course there is some repeat value of PYQs. That means approximately 50 to 60% questions, especially in the optional, are certainly going to be repeated, and that's a very, very important part of doing PYQs. So that is the reward. But if you notice, give me 1 second. Okay. Now, here are my 9 principles on how to go about the PYQs. Okay. Let's start my 9 principles. The first principle is that PYQs are more important for the main examination optional. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here, that it is more important for the main examination. That means it is less important for prelims. Second, given the scope of the syllabus of general studies, it is more helpful for optional and less for GS. In GS, the benefit is that it will give you a sense of what kind of question can be framed. But in GS, finding a repeat is going to be extremely rare, or maybe sometimes totally impossible. Okay. Take a horizon of 10 years. Doing 5 years of PYQ is not enough. Take a horizon of 10 years, and if you are a candidate with a science subject optional like agriculture, botany, zoology, geology, chemistry, mathematics, physics, if you are a candidate with any of these subjects, then also take into consideration the question paper of Indian Forest Service. There is always a cross overlap among the questions asked in the civil service examination and the questions asked in the Indian Forest Service examination. So if you are a student with science subject, then look into the question paper of last 10 years Indian Forest Service examination as well. And then you have to sort it area wise. Plus sort it area wise plus chapter wise. It is best to do it oneself rather than depending on any ready-made book in the market. Their sorting is always substandard, and it will always help you if you sit down for 3 days and you make this analyzed question collection all by yourself. 2 things will happen. One, you will be getting familiar with all the questions at one go. So you will develop a sense that there are certain areas which are going to be more challenging, there are certain areas which are going to be less challenging, so on and so forth. And second thing is that the quality of this sorting will be very, very high. Quality of this sorting will be very, very high. So you have to do it for yourself. Do not expect absolutely anyone to do it for you. If anyone does it for you, the efficacy will be much less. So do not expect anyone to do it for you. So take a horizon of 10 years, and if you are from science background, take into account the civil service as well as Indian Forest Service question paper. Then frame answer to most but not all the questions. First thing, frame answers. Do not necessarily write all the answers. Only frame answers. When we frame the answer, what we do, that we create headings, subheadings of a given answer, and then under each heading and subheading we put down all the points, all the examples and all the diagrams or charts which will go in the answer, but we do not frame the full sentences, we do not give it the beautiful structure of a proper formal answer. We bring all the facts, all the diagrams, all the examples, all the charts in place, organized into heading, subheading, everything, but we do not give it the flesh of the answer. The fleshing out of the answer should be done at a later stage of your preparation. In the beginning, it will be huge investment of time and it will not be giving you enough return, but frame the answer to most of the PYQ, but not all. Why not all? Because there are certain PYQs which are out of syllabus. This is an unfortunate reality of the UPSC main examination, that there are a number of questions which are out of syllabus. Out of syllabus questions never tend to repeat. They are asked once, they trouble the candidates of that particular year, and then those questions vanish away from the horizon. They are like Halley's Comet. You see them only once in your lifetime. So they are not going to be repeated. If you are not sure whether this question has a chance of getting repeated or not, ask yourself, is this question from the syllabus or is it out of the syllabus? If it is out of the syllabus, ignore that, it is not going to be repeated. And if it is from the syllabus, even though it is out of the box, but if it is from the syllabus, you ought to prepare the answer framework. Okay? So that is the next thing. If you are having a doubt on whether to do this PYQ or do that PYQ or not, again, this is the time to take help of an experienced teacher of your subject. Okay? So frame the answer to most but not all the questions. We have already understood that. And then looking at the PYQ, making use of the PYQ, that is organizing them topic wise, section wise, then chapter wise, and then framing answer along with your studies should be something that you have to do right from the beginning in your preparation. It is not a late stage activity. If you are starting out, especially with respect to the optional, you should start it straight away. And with respect to general studies, it is a wonderful source to practice along the lines of the UPSC questions. These are not UPSC standard questions. These are the UPSC questions, the best questions to practice upon, and then get help of a teacher to evaluate your answer and tell you if you are going right, if something more is needed, or if you are overdoing it. But make PYQ a part of your preparation right from the beginning, especially with respect to the optional subject. Now, my 9 principles are continuing. This is very, very, very important. Focus on the topics rather than just the question. From a single topic, from a single chapter, there can be many questions possible. Oftentimes we commit the mistake that we fixate ourselves on one particular question that has been asked from a particular chapter. And we start believing that only this question is possible. That's a very narrow view of looking at the PYQ, and it does not serve your purpose. You should be looking at the topic from where the question has been asked. So if there is a particular question, I'm citing example from agriculture optional, then if there is a particular question on food security or food grain surplus, so it is a hint to you that this is a topic being liked by the question setter. So look at the topic. Do not merely go by the question, what are the reasons for food grain surplus in India? That may be one question. Next year, it can be a very different question from food grain procurement, food grain store of India, the surplus situation in India, food security. So from this, some other question could be asked to you. And if that some other question is asked to you, you will not be able to answer if you have just focused on that particular question that was asked. So when a question is asked, your first reaction should be, you should be looking at the topic, that okay, this topic has caught the attention of the examiner and I should be prepared with this topic. Do not merely focus on the question. And when you have identified the topic, then identify the question worthy dimensions ऑफ दैट टॉपिक की, उस टॉपिक के क्या क्या डायमेंशन है जहां से आपसे क्वेश्चंस पूछे जा सकते हैं. And then prepare each dimension. So do a multi-dimensional mapping of the topic. So topic को उठाया और उसके अलग अलग dimensions को आप prepare करो कि okay, this is one dimension, next. And once you have done the multi-dimensional mapping, prepare each dimension in approximately 12 unique points. 12 unique points give you enough ammunition to write a very well composed, information rich 20 mark short note. Because when you are writing an answer for 20 marks, okay, when you are writing an answer for 20 marks, how many words you are going to use? 240 words. 240 words mean what? 24 sentences. 24 sentences mean what? If you are in possession of 12 points, each point if you elaborate on an average in 2 sentences, you have written a wonderfully dense, information dense 20 marker. So first, pick the topic from the PYQ, then identify the dimensions of the topic, and then prepare each dimension in approximately 12 to 15 points, plus the figures, plus the example to make it complete. If you are doing this, you are on real preparation path using PYQ as the source. And then look out for the topics being repeated. The topics which are being repeated are definitely examiner's favorite, and they have still a high chance of being asked to you all over again. So the topics which are being repeated, they are in the top level of your priority. You should do those topics very, very well. Lastly, my 9th and final principle, also cover the rest of the syllabus minus the dead topics. If you are not covering the rest of the syllabus, you are exposing yourself to risk, and this risk is not worth taking, because at the end of the day, PYQ is going to account for a limited number of questions that will be asked. This limited number of questions is going to make majority of the questions, no two ways about it. Therefore, doing PYQ is absolutely an unavoidable part of your preparation. You cannot ignore this, but when you are doing this, also do the rest of the syllabus. That will give you a solid base to face your examination and come out in flying color. So I hope you liked this video and you found it adding value to your preparation. So I will see you with the next video. Till then, goodbye and good luck to you. Goodbye.